Hello everybody. The video you're about to watch was actually recorded on the 24th of July 2021 and was originally a Patreon exclusive of an altcoin roundup. We looked at Dash, we looked at XRP and we looked at Tron. I figured this is turned out to be quite an interesting video given the recent rally we've been in, so I figured I'd bring it over to YouTube for you guys to enjoy. So without further ado, enjoy! Hello everybody and welcome to Green Star Trading with me, Tom. All views, opinions and ideas expressed in this video are my own and do not constitute financial or trading advice in any way. Right, welcome to another Patreon exclusive, and we're going to be covering some altcoins today. We're going to be looking at Tron, Dash and XRP, three coins that I'm invested in. That's not the main reason I've chose it. It's partly the reason, but it's also because they're all showing similar setups and they help explain the broader idea I want to express. So, without further ado, let's get underway. The first thing I want to talk about and get it off my chest is the revolutionary and rather radical idea that the altcoins are in a different wave in the Elliott wave count to Bitcoin. Now, I've suggested this before, but there's such a strong prevailing belief in the crypto market that the alts will do what Bitcoin does that a lot of people simply can't get past the masses and the belief that the masses have regarding that. So this might sound a little radical, but I believe that these three altcoins may have bottomed and may be about to enter a wave 3 while Bitcoin continues to consolidate or head down. So if you can't wrap your head around that, or you simply refuse to entertain the idea, you might as well stop watching now. Alright, for those of you who still want to hear about the idea, let's crack on. Bitcoin bottoms in 2018. December 2018. These three alts we're looking at and several others do not bottom in 2018. They bottom in 2020, March 2020. So they are not at the same wave degree as Bitcoin. They started their Elliott wave count higher, not in 2018, but in 2020. So a fair way behind Bitcoin. Bitcoin was able to get well through its wave 1 and its wave 2 and complete its wave 3 before the altcoins enter their wave 3. Given the time degree between December 18 and March 2020, this seems perfectly feasible to me. Okay, so let's just very roughly talk about the idea. So, Bitcoin bottoms in 2018. Boom, wave 1. Boom, wave 2. Wave 3 complete. Now in wave 4. The altcoins, they bottom in 2020, here. Right? When Bitcoin was putting in the completion of its wave 1 and its wave 2 is when the altcoins bottom. So they start here. 1 to here. 2 to here. Now they're free while Bitcoin is in its wave 4. So here's a great thing. Altcoins then top out in their wave 3 and go sideways in the 4. Bitcoin starts its march to wave 5. Alright, this means that Bitcoin will top first at super cycle degree or cycle degree and start the fall with a mighty bounce probably on the way down. Meanwhile, the alts will top last into their wave 5 following Bitcoin probably by the same margin between March 2020 and December 18. Bitcoin will top first, altcoins will follow. The same thing happened in 2017, but there was a month between them. This time, because we're not a wave degree behind, we're a whole wave behind. It will happen many months later. Now, yes, I can hear people say, there's no way that can happen because if Bitcoin collapses, the altcoin market will collapse. Fine. You can carry on believing that today, tomorrow, for the next 50 years. If you think the market's never going to evolve or change ever, that's fine. If that's what you want to believe, I'm simply going to entertain the idea. I'm not saying it's right, I'm just entertaining the idea. So let's look at some evidence to support this. We're going to start on the weekly time frames and we're going to dissect each of these one at a time. So let's come over and have a look at XRP, shall we? Weekly time frame here on XRP. And we've got, putting it simply, there's no point going through the minutiae. We have a primary 1 into a primary 2. We have an intermediate 1 into an intermediate 2. And now we're off and running into a 3. And we have our first move within that 3 1, 2 at minor degree, looking for 3, 4, 5 over the next month or so as we push higher. So 1, 2, 1, 2. Right, because we bottomed in March 20, not in December 18. So we're a full wave degree behind. We've completed 2, Bitcoin's completed 3 and is in 4. We were in 2, Bitcoin's still in 4. Now we could still be in 2. That's the only way we are going to continue to keep lockstep with Bitcoin without moving up while Bitcoin moves down, which is this is an A, this is going to be a B, this is going to C, and then this is 2, and we all move up together. That means we enter a 3 when Bitcoin enters a 5. Which is more believable? That we end up 2 steps behind or 1? I think it's more believable that we end up 1 step behind and we peak later than Bitcoin, but not a year or 2 later. So the idea is we will get underway into our 3 and run its course before Bitcoin completes its 4, or at least while Bitcoin is still within its 4. We will do most of the 3, perhaps even all of it. Just don't know. It could explode and just race up. Okay, the 3 doesn't have to be long in time, just in length. So we could get a lot of work done in 6 months. And if Bitcoin goes sideways for 6 months, that's a plenty of time for the alts to go crazy. Okay, now, like I said, I'm not suggesting this is going to be the case for certain. I'm just pointing it out as an option. Like I said, the alternative is that we stay corrective while Bitcoin stays corrective. We all stay corrective while Bitcoin stays corrective, and then this goes 3 while Bitcoin goes 5. That's the other option. The alternative is you have to believe that the Elliott wave counts are 2 completely different things, and for some reason the alt market is not reflecting it. I don't buy that for a second. It's just, you know, I don't believe how you could have massively increased the liquidity across the entire space and not be doing the same thing. Okay, so I could be wrong, but I just don't buy it. I just think that people are going to enter the market the same old way, as we saw via Bitcoin. The alts which started in the previous cycle prior to 2015 in similar circumstances, they now joined the daddy coin this time around. You know, Ethereum, Litecoin, they were the proper alts back in the day, but they've now gone up into a higher wave degree. They've done their 3, they're now in their 4, they're looking for their 5. They all made new highs above 2017. The next generation, or smaller cap coins, they're going to be the next ones to come up prior to the next cycle and the next cycle, so on and so forth. Many thousands will fail, but some will succeed. So the idea that a group of altcoins are behind a group of altcoins which are behind Bitcoin really shouldn't seem that crazy. It should seem very relatively feasible, I'd argue, and that's what we're majoring on here. So let's have a look at this chart. 1, 2, 1, 2. Getting down into this correction is an ABC zigzag. 5, 3, 5. Bottoming on the 21st of June, and now we've gone 1, 2. We can see on the weekly time frame, currently it's Saturday, we've got this bullish hammer. Let's have a look. The length of the wick is easily double the length of the body of the candle, so this is a bullish hammer, which is a reversal sign. We are currently, where are we? Trading around the 60 EMA on the weekly, just trading above it. Volume has been dying off this whole time during this sell-off. So here's the peak of the sell-off, here's the fall in the volume. So this is fear and disinterest, right, from the public. Not so much the sellers smashing this thing. It's not active aggressive selling. The volume doesn't support that. This is more a case of a temporary loss of faith. This is more buyers not wanting to participate than it is sellers smiting this asset. Yeah, this is just volume dying off over time, and as volume's been dying off, the MACD's been cooling off slightly, having perhaps bottomed. We didn't reach oversold conditions in the MACD on the weekly time frame. We just come down to the daily for a moment. we can see current move up is not supported by volume. Fair enough. That's not necessarily a good sign. Not rare in Bitcoin, not rare in crypto. However, we have a low here on the 22nd of June. This is on the daily time frame, and the low that we've got just before this bounce on the 20th of July. And we do have bullish divergence, a low and a higher low in the RSI, a low and a higher low in the MACD. Right, declining volume throughout this whole sell-off. If this is a 1-2 and we're doing another 1-2, we should see volume come in to support this. Okay, so let's just have a quick look at the length of this zigzag. Could be a flat pattern, could be a zigzag, but unlike, this is another argument to suggest that this is a possibility. Unlike Bitcoin, which went beyond the 1618 and ran all the way to the 2618, XRP hasn't. It's retraced, or it's extended its C to the 1.618, bodied the candle above it, wick to it on a retrace. Now if we just bring up the 60 on the daily time frame, sorry, not the 60, let's have a look at our, alright, so here's the 10 daily time frame. You can see after the wave up in the initial move down in the A, below it, move up above it in the B, and then the C has sustained all of its 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves below the 10 exponential. We have a bullish move above it, a long meandering WXY below it, and then another pop above it. So we're back above the 10 daily exponential moving average, having done an extension A, B, C to the 1.618 to the tick, having retested it and bounced. The declining volume of this sell-off I find actually to be reassuring. The only thing missing is support from volume for this bullish move. That's the one thing that's missing. So there is still the potential, as I said earlier, that this is going to turn out to be a three-wave move. But there is the possibility, bullish candlestick pattern, retest of a 1.618. If we just have a look at what we've retraced from the low, alright, we're hovering around the 50. Hovering around the 50 fib, no clear test of the 61.8 yet. Alright, so maybe another push down into here, but if we do that, I think this would make a more viable target. Come down lower, move up, and come down lower. But there is the potential that we bottomed here. Okay, bullish candle, back above the 10 daily exponential moving average. Retest of the 1.618 for the wave C. Bullish divergence on the daily time frame on the RSI and the MACD. So that's our first coin. Right, so let's come over and have a look at Tron. So what have we got here? Same story. Big bullish hammer with a big long wick to the downside. We get a similar setup again. A, B, C, 1618. Bodied both candles above it. We have this volatility, liquidation wick, go through it, and we have one here as well creating this bullish candle, but we don't body the candle below the 1618. So we don't have the same extension problem that we do in Bitcoin. Again, let's bring the volume up. Declining volume throughout this sell-off. Again, you know, this is not massive bears piling in by the million. This is a general disinterest rather than an execution of the bears murdering everybody. This is more of a kind of meh. It's not taking much to push the market down. Bullish interest has died off. You won't get it back until you get a reversal, and you won't get it back until you recapture some of that FOMO. This feels right for the start of a wave 3. You know, wave 2's deep. There's a genuine sense of like deflation, depression, disappointment. That's often how the wave 3 begins. You know, and then you get that exponential FOMO wave in the 5th, which I think could explain the time differential between where we expect these alts to top. You know, a whole wave behind Bitcoin and where Bitcoin does, because if it is a FOMO wave, it could go, fucking nuclear like it did back in 2017. So we just don't know what the upper targets for Bitcoin is going to be once it completes its wave 4 consolidation. It could take months, but then it could go absolutely mental. So if that's what we're expecting, and that is partially that is kind of what I'm expecting to happen. So that buys us quite potentially a lot of time if we are now in a wave 3 to get all of it done and complete before Bitcoin gets onto the launch pad again. It's possible. Right, so let's come down to the... Are we above a... See, we're not above a 10 on the weekly. Where are we on the daily? So, now it was similar story here with Tron. Most of his correction, at least a 1, 2, 3, 4 triangle in this case, 5 into the C of the 2. And then a much clearer impulse off of the low here. 1, meandering 2, bounce back above the 10. Bullish candle on the weekly, dying off volume. We can't point to the same bullish divergence in the RSI because we didn't get a lower low. So if we look back here, we didn't really get one there either. We did here on the MACD. We've got a low, higher low, higher low, series of higher lows on the MACD. While we've had low, lower low. Didn't get a lower low here. This is a higher low. So, let's have a look at the overall retracement for Tron here, where we take our wave 2 from. Just get it. So we've come straight to the golden zone, straight to the golden ratio, putting a double bottom around it. Here's a 61.8% retracement. I mean, the bodies of these candles are literally on it. Okay, with 2 little wicks through it. So more evidence to suggest that this could be a bottom. 1, tentative 2. Everyone's expecting it to break down, but we actually start to bounce. 1, 2, 1, 2, on off we go. It could happen. It could be the bottom. Nice bullish divergence here in the MACD. We're just lacking the support from volume. That's the one thing that's putting me off. But the fact that volume's been dying during a sell-off rather than increasing, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Okay, so some evidence to suggest that we're doing something here. Let's have a look. Right, so let's just save this. Let's come over and have a look at Dash. Now we had this crazy ass pop in Dash. Weekly time frame, moved to the 10 on the weekly. Right, let's bring up the volume. Very similar price setup, very similar Elliott wave setup, 1, 2, 1, 2, bottoming in March 2020 rather than 2018. Very different volume setup here. Yeah, we've got the same decline throughout the bearish sell-off, but now we've got a move supported by volume here in Dash. Maybe it was just the first of the altcoins in this group, in this setup, to catch some volume. Maybe it's just a bounce and we're going to go A, B, C, down, but maybe it's something else. Cooling off on the MACD for longer on the weekly time frame than we have seen in, I think it was XRP. Yeah, only just starting to cool off on the weekly time frame, just starting to cool off for XRP, late mover. Where we've been cooling off for a while in Tron, and we've been cooling off for a significant time in Dash. Now we've got a bullish candle supported by volume on the weekly. Let's come down to the daily, and let's pop up that 10 exponential moving average. Move above the 10. All the corrective price action has been sustained below the 10. Move up into a 1, move down into a 2 to a higher low, back above the 10. Volume for the first time in this entire sell-off. Volume supporting the bullish move. Yes, it could still be a bounce, but it could be the bottom. Okay, bullish, can't say divergence because we don't have a lower low. We do have two successive higher lows supporting the higher lows in price. We do have it here in the MACD once again, where we have a low and a higher low between a low and a lower low. So, low, higher low, low, lower low, bottom, perhaps, in this low volume before we get this pop. Right, so let's look at the same issues we're going to have here. So, we've got our overall retracement to deal with of our proposed wave 2 at intermediate time frame. Where does it come to? 707, 65, 61. It's not a golden zone or golden ratio retracement. 707 isn't typical. So there's nothing here that screams obvious support. So let's have a look at the overall retracement from below. It's always worth having a look at. Just around the 50. And let's look at how we got down here. Now you see, this is a different kettle of fish because it hasn't corrected in the same way that XRP and Tron has corrected. So I've been thinking about this. And if we leave the top in place here, let's just do that for the moment. Then I think we have to argue for an A and a B and a C going ever so slightly lower. And I think we'd have to also probably argue for a triangle in the B. Let's just come down to a slightly smaller time frame, see what we can see. And so A, B, C, D, E. We don't need it to be that long. Bring in these two lows here, and I think you've got your argument for a symmetrical triangle for a wave B. Now, wave 3 doesn't have to be the longest; it just can't be the shortest. 1, 2, 3, 4. Capitulation in the 5th. So it is here. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3, 4, 5. 3 is longer than the 1, shorter than the 5. C, 2. What kind of relationship do we get between the A, the B and the C here? A, B, we hit a 50. To the tick. We come down to 50 extension. So, you could argue that it's not done. This is part of a greater free wave move, which is going to take us down lower. But how much lower? Where's the cutoff for this idea? Down here at 61 bucks. You could argue maybe, or perhaps we're looking at something different. So, A, B, C possibly, or just 5 waves possibly, then a big A, B, C into a B. Possibly, then down and C. But what if we're looking at something like this instead? And now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just throwing ideas out there, been a bit of a rough idea. So what if this isn't an ABC? It's possible. There's one way of getting down here to bottom in a 2. This here could be a free wave move, right? Bum, bum, bum. Done, done, done. So maybe we should be measuring from here. Now we've got the same issue we have in Bitcoin. If we assume an expanding pattern rather than a zigzag, we end up way beyond where the C should be. 1.618, and we go further. So let's hide that for the moment. What if we take the other peak? It's going to be even worse, surely. to the 2.618 and through it. So, options. We've done a zigzag and it's complete. This is a 1-2, this is a 1-2, and now we're going to go higher. Supported on volume, after a decline, a breakout above a moving average, and this is 1-2, 1-2. If that's correct, this will explode. If I'm wrong, we'll finish what is likely a 3-wave move, and then we'll continue down to find support nearer the cutoff point. I just find it interesting that we've come through these major. We're back above the 20 exponential time frame, daily exponential moving average as well, with the 10 crossing through the 20 for the first time since this correction began. So we're in a bounce, right? We've established that. Great. We're in a bounce. We know it is in Bitcoin, but it could be the bottom. It could be the bottom. How are we looking when we do that on daily? 10, 20, sandwich between them at the moment on XRP. Can't quite get above that 20. No support volume wise. Tron, 10, 20, switching to daily. Sandwich between them again, just below the 20. We seem to have had one more additional move in Dash. So if you should bear with me, we've gone 1, 2, big move up, 1, 2, taking us above these moving averages. Where in XRP, we haven't done that second move, or in Tron yet. Instead of going 1, 2, 1, 2, we're still in this 1, the secondary 1 to move up on the smaller time frame. So maybe Dash is a leader here. In the altcoins, it's one of the older ones. I mean, by my reckoning, if any of this theory has any weight, Litecoin and Ether, got upgraded to the big boy club and made new all-time highs and linked up their Elliott wave counts with Bitcoin. Familiar names, more people know what they are than they did 5 years ago, 4 years ago. So maybe it's the case of XRP's being weighted down by the, trial with the SEC. And Dash is a little bit ahead because it's a bit more well known, a bit more familiar, and Tron is one of the ones that most people haven't heard of. I say most people outside of the crypto space who might be coming into it, might have just gone into it, or might yet be bullied into it the next time the price explodes, and they have to be part of it. Because a lot of people say, oh, everyone who's in is in. I don't believe that. How long has it taken in the stock market, guys, to get everyone in? How many bearish and bullish cycles have there been? How many decades? How many super cycles and cycle waves have there been to get everyone in? It's taken centuries to get everyone into the stock market, right? And yet in the crypto space, people are like, oh yeah, everyone's in. Fuck off, are they? It was 2008 when this started. There's no way everyone's in. It's just no fucking way. All right, in my opinion. So I'm sorry, I'm not trying to cause offence. I'm just saying it doesn't make any sense that the most easily accessed market on the planet took decades and centuries to mature, and even though the technology has been available now for 20 years or more for people to get in, it's taken all that time. But apparently crypto has just got everyone who could be in overnight. I don't buy that. I think we've barely touched the surface of who's going to get into this in the coming decades, in the coming years and coming decades, right? So I waffled on at length. I've shared this with you guys on the Patreon because I know that a lot of you are into crypto. I'm curious on your feedback. The idea that the counts will link up one after the other as we catch up to Bitcoin in these altcoins in this part of the altcoin market, that we are a step behind in the count because we bottomed a significant time later. That seems to make sense to me. Now, I'm going to carry on looking at the count, carry on measuring things, keeping an eye on it, but for the meantime, I just thought this might be interesting for you. So, there you go, let's conclude it there. I think I've waffled on enough now. For almost half an hour. So, Any feedback will be welcome. I'm sorry it's taken me so long to get your weekly exclusive video out, but I was honestly hiding away from my office earlier in the week because it was just too bloody hot. And it's a lot cooler today, so I've managed to get it done. Right then guys, take care, and I'll be back with you next week. All the best. Bye bye.